Have you ever felt an invisible force silently controlling your decisions, making you doubt yourself and keeping you small without you even realizing it? Carl Jung called this invisible force shame, one of the most destructive emotions we can carry. Unlike guilt, which responds to actions, shame attacks your very sense of self. It is the silent parasite living inside your mind, feeding on your self-worth and confidence, shaping your shadow, and subtly dictating every choice you make. Shame convinces you that you are flawed, unworthy, or broken. It whispers that you don't deserve happiness, that you're incapable, that you are less than in comparison to others. And the more you try to ignore it, the more powerful it becomes. It hides behind social rules, your own self-criticism, and even the relationships you trust. How often have you stopped yourself from pursuing something you wanted because of a small, nagging voice telling you you're not good enough? That's shame in action. It's invisible, yet its impact is devastating. It forces you into conformity, obedience, and self-sabotage, all under the guise of self-preservation. Even successful people are not immune. Jung observed that shame doesn't discriminate. It touches everyone. But its form is subtle. It makes you apologize for things that weren't your fault, prevents you from asserting your desires, and quietly erodes your confidence over years. It is silent, but it is lethal, because you rarely recognize it for what it truly is. Why does shame feel so familiar, so unavoidable? Because it's learned. From childhood, you internalize the judgments of others, the rules of society, and the critical voices that told you who you should be. This internalized judgment becomes a parasite, feeding off your vulnerability, your fear, and your desire for approval. Have you ever noticed how one small comment or criticism can haunt you for years, shaping your self-image without you even realizing it? Jung believed that shame lives in the unconscious, quietly influencing every thought, feeling, and action. Unlike guilt, which can motivate change, shame burrows deeper, convincing you that there is something inherently wrong with you. This invisible parasite grows stronger the more you resist it, the more you hide it, and the more you ignore its presence. It manifests in subtle ways: the hesitation to speak your truth, the fear of judgment in relationships, the constant need for approval, the self-sabotaging behavior that keeps you from pursuing your goals. All of these patterns are traces of shame, quietly dictating your life. How often have you avoided something important because the thought of failing or being criticized terrified you? That is shame at work, silently controlling your choices, shaping your fears, and keeping you trapped in a cycle of self-doubt. Shame is also deeply social. It reflects the judgments, criticisms, and expectations of those around you, and becomes internalized over time. From childhood scoldings to societal pressures, these external voices embed themselves in your unconscious, forming the foundation of your shadow. This shadow is the part of you that carries all the suppressed shame, anger, and pain, controlling you without your conscious awareness. The more you try to ignore it, the more the shadow grows. Every time you compare yourself to others, every time you hide a part of yourself out of fear, you feed this parasite. Jung described it as a self-perpetuating loop. The shame grows, influences your behavior, and then confirms itself through the outcomes it creates. But here's the crucial truth. Shame only has power as long as you allow it to remain hidden. Bringing it into awareness, naming it, and facing it is the first step to breaking free. Shadow work, as Jung prescribed, is the act of confronting these unconscious feelings, integrating them into your conscious mind, and reclaiming control over your life. In other words, the silent parasite can only control you if you let it. And the path to liberation begins with recognizing it, questioning it, and refusing to let it dictate your choices. Are you aware of how much of your life is shaped by fear of judgment, even when no one is watching? Shame is a master manipulator. It convinces you that your desires are selfish, that your emotions are wrong, and that your authentic self is unacceptable. Every hesitation, every apology, every act of self-censorship is the parasite silently guiding your actions. You may think these behaviors are normal, but they are symptoms of a hidden force living in your unconscious. Jung explained that this silent parasite forms the core of your shadow, the part of yourself you try to hide or deny. Your shadow carries all the shame, all the guilt, all the unspoken pain that society, culture, or even loved ones have imposed on you. And the more you resist it, the more it controls you. How often have you silenced your own voice just to avoid conflict, judgment, or disapproval? Each time you do, you feed the parasite, allowing it to grow stronger, more insidious, and more controlling. The shadow thrives in secrecy and denial, and until you confront it, it will quietly sabotage your life in ways you may never consciously recognize. This is why shame is so destructive. It doesn't just affect your confidence or self-esteem. It dictates your choices, influences your relationships, and even affects your health. The silent parasite thrives on fear and self-repression, keeping you small and obedient while convincing you that this limitation is necessary for survival. Yet, there is hope. Jung taught that acknowledging shame and integrating the shadow is the key to reclaiming your life. By facing what you have hidden, naming it, and accepting it, you weaken the parasite's control. You stop being manipulated by feelings you didn't create and begin to act from your conscious will. The first step is awareness. The second is courage. The third is conscious action. If these words resonate with you, if you've ever felt this invisible pressure controlling your decisions, limiting your potential, or dictating your emotions, then don't just watch, like this video, and prove to yourself that you are beginning the journey to reclaim your power. Who would you be if you stopped letting shame dictate your choices? Can you even imagine a life where you act freely, without fear of judgment, criticism, or self-condemnation? Jung believed that confronting shame is not a simple task. The silent parasite is clever. It hides behind your rationalizations. It whispers in moments of vulnerability. It disguises itself as humility, discipline, or being reasonable. And because you rarely notice it, it grows unchecked, influencing your behavior, relationships, and even your sense of identity. The key to liberation lies in shadow work, the deliberate practice of facing the parts of yourself that have been suppressed or denied. This includes your fears, your guilt, your past mistakes, and all the unspoken judgments you've internalized. By bringing these elements into conscious awareness, you strip the parasite of its power. Have you ever wondered why you keep repeating the same mistakes in relationships, work, or personal growth? Often, it's because the parasite thrives on repetition. It keeps you in familiar patterns, reinforcing self-doubt, limiting beliefs, and self-sabotaging behaviors. Until you acknowledge these patterns and understand their origin in your shadow, you remain trapped in a cycle that feels impossible to break. Shadow work requires honesty. It requires courage to look at the parts of yourself you've spent years hiding. But the reward is profound. Freedom. Freedom from the constant internal criticism. Freedom from the fear of being exposed. Freedom from the invisible chains that have dictated your life. Jung emphasized that integrating the shadow doesn't eliminate shame entirely. It transforms it. Instead of controlling you, shame becomes a guide, a teacher that reveals where you've been hiding from yourself. When you learn from it, you gain self-awareness, resilience, and the ability to act authentically. This is why facing shame is not just a psychological exercise. It is a philosophical practice. It aligns your conscious choices with your true self, rather than the imposed judgments and fears of your unconscious. By embracing the shadow and confronting the silent parasite, you reclaim your power. You stop being a passenger in your own life and start steering your journey. And if you feel the weight of these truths, if you recognize the subtle ways shame has manipulated you, then subscribe and turn on the bell to continue exploring the darkest corners of the human mind, where true freedom and self-mastery await. Are you truly living your life? Or are you simply a slave to the invisible chains of shame? The cruel truth Jung revealed is that shame is not just an emotion. It is a parasite. A silent, invisible force that feeds on your self-worth, manipulates your decisions, and shapes the way you see yourself. It doesn't announce itself, and it doesn't ask permission. It infiltrates your mind through self-criticism, fear of judgment, and the memories you refuse to face. Every time you avoid conflict, every time you apologize for existing, every time you shrink to fit someone else's expectations, you are feeding this parasite. Every "I can't" or "I'm not enough" strengthens it, making it bolder, louder, and more controlling. And the most dangerous part? You rarely notice it until its effects have become undeniable. What would happen if you stopped letting shame control you? If you refused to obey its commands, if you faced it head-on, what kind of life could you lead? Would you finally speak your truth without fear? Would you pursue your dreams without hesitation? Would you finally reclaim the power that has been quietly stolen from you? Jung's method is clear. The only way to defeat the parasite is to confront it. Bring your shadow into the light. Name the shame. Understand its origins. Integrate it into your conscious awareness instead of letting it secretly rule you. This is not easy. It is uncomfortable. It can feel like facing death. But only by doing this can you reclaim your mind and your life. And here lies the ultimate paradox. The parasite thrives in silence. Yet once you speak its name, acknowledge its presence, and confront it, its power begins to crumble. The shame that once controlled you can become a guide, a teacher showing you the areas where you've been hiding from yourself. Are you willing to face the parts of yourself that you've spent years denying? The shadow is patient. It will wait. It will continue to influence your choices, your relationships, and your perception of reality until you finally confront it. If you feel the weight of these words, if you recognize the subtle ways shame has manipulated your life, then act. Subscribe, turn on the bell, and join this journey into the hidden corners of the mind, where most people are too afraid to look. Because even when you face shame, there is a deeper, invisible force that can still control your life. Guilt and unresolved trauma from your past. And in the next video, we will uncover how past trauma and guilt work with shame to silently sabotage your life, and the steps to break free before they destroy everything.